What's up with it? Let's get into another episode on the FlipSide Podcast. I got a special guest today. His name is Matthew Tallon. But let me tell you this. Every story has a flip side, and every struggle has a purpose. I'm trying to get this new, my man's over here now gave me something he wanted me to start every podcast off with, and it's kind of hard to memorize because it ain't really exactly in the type of wording that I would say. But listen, make sure we're gonna try to get this one to 1,000 likes. Make sure y'all like, make sure you subscribe and share this out. Let's get into it. So what's up, brother? How you doing?
Good. Thanks for having me, man. I appreciate it.
Man, I appreciate you coming,
Absolutely.
man. It means a lot. So we always start off with tell us a little bit about yourself, where you from. And listen, this is worldwide. So we know you from maybe this area, but tell the people that's in other countries about where you from.
So my name's Matt. I'm 42. I grew up here in Cincinnati, Pleasant Ridge area. Spent some years of my life there. Went through some things in my life and, kind of landed where I'm at now. Live in Blue Ash now with a great woman in my life and 4 beautiful kids. And, so life is definitely taking me on a good route here,
So tell me, what you think about Blue Ash chili?
It's all right, man. It's not my go-to.
Oh, for real?
I'm more of a Pleasant Ridge chili kind of guy.
Okay.
Yeah, the gravy cheese.
Pleasant Ridge chili, is that the one that's on? I think it is Pleasant Ridge chili.
I think Montgomery. It's on Montgomery Road in Pleasant
Montgomery
Ridge.
Road.
Yeah.
They don't take cards.
Right.
Cash.
Yes.
That's by Slick.
Yeah.
That's by Slick. Okay.
Yeah, that's the one, man. Yeah, we spent a lot of time going there. Go out at night and hit that place. We used to be open till 4 o'clock in the morning.
Gotcha.
It'd be a whole circus in there afterwards.
Gotcha. Yeah, familiar with.
COVID done changed everything up there now, but yeah, still the spot though.
Right. Okay. How many children you have?
4.
You got 4 children?
Yep.
Oh yeah. Yep. Okay. How would you rate yourself as a father?
Now I would say I'm a good father now. Definitely have improved over the years. I'm present in all my kids' life. I got one here now, and my 2 daughters. My daughters are grown. Those are the 2 first ones. I got a 3-year-old son too. I'm in his life every day. So, definitely a long way from where I used to be at with things. So, but yeah, I'm just settled into this dad and home role and doing my thing.
So what was life like for you coming up? Like type of household, mother, father?
So I actually grew up in a pretty good house, man. My mom and stepdad have been together since I was a baby. My dad's still in my life. I kind of had a relationship with him growing up. He was deaf. He's deaf. Okay. So we kind of had that language, just that communication barrier there, which made it hard for us, So, gotcha. But yeah, he was just that dad, growing up that, I'd be out there with my little coat on and my backpack, whatever. And, he'd sitting there waiting for, and he just never show up, kind of thing. So,
gotcha.
But I had a stepdad in my life that, just kind of, filtered right into that, like, hey man, go grab a ball, let's go up to the park or something, So it was a transition, but it's just one of those things that it's, you never really let go of in life,
Gotcha.
And you really don't know how it affects you in the long run, until you start going through some of the things, So I grew up in a good house, man. I mean, it was a struggle having a stepdad, but he's a great guy, and I'm the oldest of 7 kids now with them. I'm the only one between my mom and my biological dad, and then her and my stepdad have 6 other kids. So it was definitely I don't know. It was hard for a while. I was the only kid for 12 years, and all of a sudden here comes months, But great family, everybody's tight, My grandmother, such a huge influence in my life as well, and everybody's still real close. My grandma lives right around the corner from my mom, so to go see one is to go see both of them. It's nice, man, and my dad and I have a good relationship now. He's just retired out in the country now. He was a pro boxer. He just had a whole different lifestyle.
Okay.
So yeah, it was he was just kind of on the run kind of life, and but he's gotten older now, kind of settled in, finally. So, but yeah, came up in a good home, man, and my mom's a nurse. My stepdad's been working, he's been in the concrete business, actually concrete sales for a long time, and so good home. I mean, parents were there, mom and stepdad, but I kind of venture out on my own, get myself in my own situation.
Okay.
I can't sit here and blame it on home, because
Okay.
my dad's situation, relationship with him, yeah, it's okay. That probably took a toll on me growing up and things. But overall, I don't feel like I'm in a place now that I can say my dad is the reason for things happening my way. I made decisions I made,
feel that.
But it is what it is, and we come out better on the other side. So, I think that's all that matters.
You just made me think, man. My kids, they all know sign language.
Yeah.
Man. Yeah, so they be, they want to talk, do stuff behind my back.
Yeah.
They can communicate with each other. They aggravate me sometimes. I'm like asking her, like, why did you teach them that? Like, you know what I'm saying? But when you said that, it just made me think about, like, that is a transferable skill that they got that they might be able to use it later on in life.
Right.
Maybe make some extra money out of being able to communicate with somebody.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Okay. So it's we met some years ago, and we actually met in the system in prison.
Mm-hmm.
What led you to prison? If you came from a pretty good, say, household, where did you that fork in the road? Where did you go astray?
So right about 16, 17 years old, I wasn't doing well in school. I was in Moeller High School at the time.
Damn, you went to Moeller?
Yeah. Partway through my junior year.
Okay.
Wasn't doing well in school. It just kind of got to a point. My mom stepped there like, look, you're not producing in school. We're not going to keep paying this money. You know what I mean? Which I get it.
Yeah, for sure.
I wish it had been done differently. Looking back, but at the same time, I understand. So they take me out of school. I actually started going to King's High School up in Kings Mills. Yeah, and then moved in with my grandma. Just getting in trouble at home and stuff. And by that time, I had a little brother, and I think one of my first sister would have maybe been here too. So they had young, impressionable minds in the house, and and so they had to protect that, and I get it, and I was just on a whole different track. So just went to go live with my grandma. It was just a whole different change for me out there. No rules, just kind of party all the time, run. Ended up not finishing school, and ended up getting with a girl. Went to stay with her and her parents for some time, and ended up just meeting some people that I started getting affiliated with that were into some things that kind of led me down a bad road, and so we started getting into drugs and robbing people and doing all that stuff, man. And basically what came to be is I went and spent 4 years of my life locked up at that time because of that, just kind of just a young guy just hanging out with older people, and so just it kind of just molded me into something that I really shouldn't have been. Wasn't brought up that way, I wasn't raised that way, but by that time I'm on a whole different path. So I go through all that. I move out to Middletown Projects. I'm the white boy in the hood out there. So I mean that puts you shifts your whole mindset going through that. So I go from here, I'm living in Pleasant Ridge, now I'm in Middletown Projects. So it's very different for me, but just a whole different landscape of life, man. And I think it really had a lot to do with the path that I went on. That's a whole different world.
Right.
But I mean, just the girl and I were together. She's actually the mother of my two daughters, and we spent some years together. But as most things do at that age, they fall apart at some point, which happened during the time I was locked up. I will give her that. She visited me religiously, bringing the kids up, sending me pictures, whatever, writing and stuff. So that was good, but things just didn't work out on the other side of things getting out. So but it's okay. Everybody's cool where they're at now. But so I think it was just a combination of getting in with a little bit of an older crowd, trying to keep up with them, trying to be the cool guy, and see where it lands you, trying to do that shit,
So you did 4 years. What was your experience like in prison? What was that like for you?
So I think it was my first day in there. Get off the bus, London. I'm in Spruce. That's when they put me downstairs Spruce. And it might have been my first or second day in there. And 4 o'clock count, I see a guy go kind of sneaking down the aisle, and he hit somebody from behind. I think he had a crowbar or something from the gym. Yeah.
Okay.
And I'm like watching this, and I'm like, oh my God, I'm never gonna make it out of here. I called my mom and said, Mom, I'm probably gonna make it home. I love you.
Yeah.
Now looking back, I was probably all the wrong things to be doing, to calling your mom your second day in there saying,
Right.
Yeah. Now she's gonna spend the next 4 years worrying every day of her life about her son making it home.
Right.
But it was wild, man. I mean, it was, I went through some time in there, and then, they ended up sending me out to the camp. I wasn't even there maybe 2 months. They ended up sending me out to the camp, it was good, man. Because you go out there, you work, you learn a lot.
Learn a
It's a
lot.
whole different world out there, man.
For sure.
It's like it's a jungle in there. You
Yep.
get outside that wall,
Yep.
everybody just kind of doing their thing and working, and and just trying to get out there and go home. So you learn some good skills in there. I learned how to weld in there. Ended up going to welding school later, actually, but learned how to weld. Worked in the slaughterhouse out there for 18 months. So, that was kind of cool skill to learn, But yeah, I mean, it was just kind of one of those things that, after a while, just being in prison again, But after some time out there, I was out there for a while. They came one day with a bag, said, pack up, you got to go back inside, So found out I had a warrant or a holder out of Hamilton County, just because I had to be on probation when I came home. So they put a notified detainer on me for it. So for that reason, they took me back inside. So it just shifted everything right back to where I was in there. So, that was a big change there going back in, but just made the most of it. I kind of got with some good guys in there that, were just first time locked up or, whatever it might be. And, I'm actually, friends to this day with some of those guys, you being one, obviously. Yeah, met, one of my best friends in the world and, was best man at his wedding years later. And,
That's what's up,
so,
man.
we formed some good relationships out of that place, but at the end of the day, it's somewhere you never want to be, but, for what it's worth, you make the most of it. And
that's cool. You learn some things in there.
Yeah.
Because some people go in there and just come out, I hate to say it, but worse.
Yeah.
You get in there and listen to this, listen to that, you're learning this, learning that on the negative side. But people do go in there and you can get yourself together. It can be a time to sit down and pause and a reset.
Right.
So if something happened or somebody that's in there, reach out to them people, tell them, take some programs, try to come out with a different mind frame. If you come back out of there with the same mind frame, a lot of times you're going to go back to the same things.
Right.
So when you get out of prison, what was your mind frame? Like, what was your vision? What was your plans?
So I was really blessed to be in a spot when I came home. I had a job waiting for me, as soon as I hit the door, which was good because, it gave me some, a little bit of structure straight out of the gate there instead of just kind of getting out and figuring it out. So that was good, So I had a job and, I had my family was there. I mean, just so tight with me. I went and stayed at my grandma's on paper, But it was a really hard transition for me being home, especially at that age, because I went in when I was 19. I came home when I was 23. That was 4 years of my life right there where a lot of my friends are off in the military or in college or, doing that type of thing.
For sure.
And I'm doing that,
Yeah.
And it was
like a real setback.
Yeah. And it was hard, man, just coming home and trying to adjust to being around in society again and coming from that straight to, it was tough. And I kind of, went through some hard times with that and, a lot of stuff going on. Me and that girl broke up. And so we were going through a whole situation with that in itself, I'm on paper and, trying to watch my P's and Q's on how I'm handling stuff with her because, kids involved and all that. So it was tough, man, but I had a lot of people that were behind me and on my side, which, made it a little bit easier. So, just came home, got to working, everything kind of got back on track, got off paper, and, I was actually stayed out any kind of trouble for 13 years after that.
That's what's up.
So, got into some things afterwards, just went through some situations in life, man, that kind of crashed out a little bit. But, for the most part, just kind of got out, found my way best I could,
So what would you tell somebody who used the excuse that they've been to prison, so they I ain't gonna say it's easy, but they can't find a job, or you've been to prison, you started your own company. So what would you tell somebody who used that as an excuse?
It is an excuse. I mean, it's, I think we both know at this point we've been out long enough and been through enough and see that, it's all in what you allow for it to be. It's easy to sit back and say, I can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
It's not about that, man. You figure it out, get your feet on the ground, do what you got to do. I mean, I know different backgrounds, situations, environments obviously play such a big part with that. But at the end of the day, every man for themselves, and they got, you got to think on your own. And outside that, it's easy to get trapped up in that,
Right.
It's easy to say, well, where I came from, I just go back to the same thing again.
Exactly.
But, that's, at the end of the day, that's the decision you're making. So don't let it be your excuse. You know what I mean? You're deciding to go back and doing the thing. So, it's a hard thing, and I get it. I've been through it a few times now, and it's a struggle, and I can see exactly why somebody would have a hard time with situations like that, especially coming home, and the worst thing I think can happen to somebody is not having any stability coming home to, and that's why these reentry programs are good. But I really feel like those are only so good to a point. They only do so much, and they can only do so much. At some point, you have to take it on your own, and progress from there. And some guys do, and some guys don't. But at the end of the day, nobody's trying to hear that excuse stuff, man. Get out there and make it happen for yourself.
You gotta make it happen.
No matter how hard it might be, yes, you're gonna fall. It's gonna be hard. It's gonna be terrible times, stressful. You're gonna cry. You're gonna hate life.
Right.
But at the end of the day, man, you just keep going. It ain't how many times you fall down. It's about that getting up that one more time.
For sure. I agree with that. Tell people, man, if that's why I can't remember what that stay down till you come up quote, because if we jump on the highway right now and start going down 75, eventually we can end up in Miami.
Right.
I don't know how long it's going to take us. We'll eventually end up in Miami.
Right.
But if we get to Gatlinburg, Tennessee, and say we like the mountains, we like the chalets, and say, oh, forget that. We're going to stay right here. We won't never know what Miami would have had for us.
Yeah.
So the thing is, you got to keep going. You can't stop. You can't never quit. Is it going to be hard? Yeah, it's going to be hard. Somebody might look at the end result right now, look at you and be like, damn, but they don't know what it took for you to get to that point.
Right.
And that's what we be missing, that journey. Like a lot of people, we go on journeys to end up where we end up being, but people don't see where we came from.
Right.
You know what I mean? So that's a message to the people. I love to hear stories like this because it's motivation to somebody.
Yeah.
Somebody can be teetering on that fence like, man, I don't know what I can do. But then somebody can turn this podcast and hear your story and be like, you know what? I just heard what Matthew said. I can push through. I can make it. I can do it.
Right.
You know what I mean? So I appreciate you coming on here, being that inspiration. Let me tell you, you got people that go to college together. Say some people went to, UC together. They're alumni. They, we ain't from the same neighborhood. We ain't from obviously we ain't family, by blood, but we got a similar background. It's some of my blood brothers that ain't been through what I've been through, that you've been through, like I've been through. So we got a common bond.
Yeah.
That common bond gonna always stick with us because we know what it's like to hear that count time. We know what it's like to see somebody get busted upside their head.
Yeah.
You get what I'm saying? So I don't never forget where I came from. And I want people to know if it's a way you can avoid that, I'm here to tell you, I want you to avoid it.
Yeah.
But people who go through it, I need people like you to come and sit down to show them it can be a minor setback for a major comeback.
Yeah, and that's kind of the thing, is just not letting yourself fall into that trap, because it's easy to get overwhelmed with things and just say, you know what, effort is over,
Yeah.
But I think I just got to a point where I realized I didn't have that an option anymore. I got kids out here that I got to take care of, and me being gone all that time, I watched my daughters basically for the first 4 years of lives grow up in a visiting room, man, and that's hard thing to do, and I spent time incarcerated later on in life and went through the same thing with my other kids, and now that I've been away from all that for some time now, it's just, you see a whole different side of things, and I know what can be,
Exactly.
That's one thing I never forget. I know what can be, so, and I think people lose sight of that a lot, is just getting caught up in the daily motion of life and trying to do so much, and it's easy to forget what things could be when you get to making that wrong decision again.
Man.
So, it's
one choice, one bad decision, one bad choice can change your life forever. Really.
Yeah.
And I tell people, if I knew I could have got in trouble for what I got in trouble for, I wouldn't have never got in trouble. But I thought if I'm parked around the corner while whatever going on, they don't got nothing to do with me. I was just as guilty as my co-defendants that was around there doing what they did.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Absolutely.
So when I tell my story, I say, I bet you don't none of these kids in the room who heard this story make that same mistake that I made.
Yeah.
Because it was my lack of knowledge. I didn't know I can get in trouble for being around the corner.
Right.
So I was like, I feel like now I know part of my purpose in life is to spread a certain message. My partner and I, we had a discrepancy about somebody said they could come on here and they want to advertise, some weed, and I could promote it and this and that and this. And, I'm like, I don't want to do that. Like, I'm like, it's legal. Okay, I get it. It's legal. But I just feel like my purpose right now in life is to not promote things like that because I used narcotics for so long to make money off of it.
Right.
Now I want to just be, okay, if that's what somebody chooses to do, but I can't promote that because I'm looking at somebody getting paid every week, they spend their money on it, and I don't agree with that. I want them to spend their money on something else.
Right.
So it's like, I'm not gonna get up here and bash it, but I'm definitely not gonna promote it because I don't think that's what the man upstairs want me to do.
Right.
You get what I'm saying? But like I said, it is legal. So I ain't saying like you doing something illegal if you participate in it. But I just feel like I had to go through what I had to go through so I can be the person who I am today.
Yeah.
And you know me some years ago, man. Yeah. So what type of guy do you feel like I was back then? Like, what did you know what I mean?
I remember, man, I think first time I seen you, I'm like, this little jacked up ass dude, man. Like, what the hell, bro? Little brick dude. But just the time I got to, you were so cool, man, and I'm so young still. I was, like I said, 19, 20. I don't know how old you were when I first went in back in, 03.
Yeah, I was because I got out. I was 20, so I'm about 24.
Yeah, so you was a few years older than me. Yeah, you were cool. You know what I mean? Like, vibed with everybody in there. Everybody respected you. You know what I mean? So, you kind of you're drawn to that. You know what I mean? Especially at, you want to be around people that are respected and and looked at a certain way. And I think that's good though about the whole weed thing because that also kind of pushes in the direction of you're respected, but at the same time, I'm not going to push you into something that could ultimately become a failure for you. You know what I mean? So, hey, yeah, you can go out here and sell weed, but what comes with that for real? You know what I mean?
Right.
Yeah, you can make some money. It's legal, but to what extent are we really stopping at just selling some weed or just living, a good straight life, but selling weed, so I get it and it makes total sense. So I think that all is, kind of comes into play with, just kind of person you are, who I've known you to be all this time, man. Very straightforward dude and, straight up. And I think that's one reason we've kept in touch over the years, And, we've kind of gotten together on the business side of things, some house shit going on, and popped out, take a look at some stuff. And, so it's, just especially now older, looking back, it's, I think that I created the bonds in prison that have lasted so long, and because it was good guys in there that I linked with, you know what I mean? Some of them, ain't, whatever, but for the most part, you meet some real good, solid people in there, and I was blessed to be able to do that. So call some people, some real good friends out there, So, yeah, you were a cool dude, man, and I always
appreciate
thought
that.
you were a trip, man, for real.
So, how's your relationship now with your children? I had some guys on here who went to prison, and it put a strain on their relationship with their kids.
Yeah.
Like, I missed 17 and a half years of my son's life, and he and I, we super tight.
Yeah.
So when guys tell me their relationship was strained for them going to prison, and it might be several different reasons, you know what I mean? But it'd be like, damn, I don't know that feeling because it didn't affect any of my relationships with my children. Yeah. How's your relationship with your kids?
So it took a lot of time, especially with my daughters, the boys weren't around yet, but it took a lot of time, a lot of work with them. It's still, to this day, a work in progress. They never forgot about all that. You know what I mean? Okay. Me being gone all those years of their life, all the things that went on afterwards. You know what I mean? It was a lot for young minds to have to deal with and go through, and they were just such innocent, precious little minds and brains. And it's just at my age at the time and what I've been going through, it's just something you don't take into account. You know what I mean? How am I really affecting them? But as you get older, you start to see, like, man, I really have to make it a point to start working on this. And I did. And, we have a good relationship now with my daughters. I mean, we get together, go out to dinner here and there, hang out, come over, cook out, whatever it might be. Yeah. And, we talk, every couple of days, whatever it might be. They'll hit me up, Dad, you know what I mean? So it's just good to have that where they can come to me and be like, let me know what's going on, or, need some advice in a situation, whatever it might be. So, it's gotten better. I think things have been harder, especially for my younger daughter. Just because she didn't feel connected to me like that. I mean, being away, she was born when I was locked up. So those first few years of her life, I'd see her, once every 2 weeks maybe, and that's hard, So she lost all that, and it was just something that she wanted so bad. And, I was very just young and stupid and immature, and instead of locking into that and being like, you know what, I'm gonna make sure I nurture this from here on out. I didn't initially do that, Okay. So it really affected her, especially. My older daughter, she's just, kind of, she's her own mind, man, and she of course went through the things too, but she didn't take it like my younger one does. She just, like I said, she just kind of became her own individual and was one track mind and out of here with things, which was good. But it's been good, man. They're great kids. They both got good things going on with themselves, and But it was definitely a struggle getting to this point. There was a lot of pain for them. It was hard for me. I had to listen to a lot of things that they had to say, being honest about stuff, and that's hard to do as a grown man, as a parent, is have your kid tell you about yourself, you know.
Sure,
but I had to respect what they were saying because I put myself in that position for them to feel that way, you know. So, but
that's a lot of maturity.
yeah,
That's growth.
yeah, it is,
man. Some people never get to that point.
Right.
Like, being honest with you, some men never get to that point.
Some men make it, I mean, some men make that their life, you know, come out, da da da. At some point, you have to care enough about them to make it a point to not be going back and doing, you know, spending time in jail and living that kind of life.
Right.
Because all that shows them is I wasn't important enough for you to stay out of.
Damn,
you know
what I mean?
Deep.
That's deep. That's what it really boiled down to. Really, when the rubber hit the road.
Yeah.
Like, that's because it's like, and I ask people sometimes. Matter of fact, I'm gonna ask you, what was your why? What was your why? Why did you change? Like, you know what? I don't want to do this no more. Whatever, you know what I mean? Like, just say a life of crime. What made you be like, let me get on the straight and narrow? Was it your kids?
Yeah, I would say 90% of it is kids. You know, okay. I think some of it is just that. Why do I want to keep doing this, man? This is silly. You know, I got in trouble after I was locked up. Whatever, man. Went through things, but I'm doing good now. But yes, kids, obviously, man, that's the biggest role player in that. But there's just that other 10% that's just, it has to be about me too, and wanting to do better for myself, and my family deserves better of that. Me, my family shouldn't want to not have me around because of the things I'm doing. Exactly. That ain't cool for me. It's not cool for them to put them in a position of, we don't feel okay you being around here. So, and luckily it's not like that anymore. I went through some time where it was, you coming around here,
Yeah.
But it's not like that at all anymore. So I think why for me was probably family number one was the biggest thing.
Okay.
And you just get tired of stuff, man. Nobody wants to be back in there and doing watching the kids grow up from in there and making $18 a month. You know what I mean? that's hard to live on.
So you do roofing, siding. I think because I seen you doing like a deck or something like that.
Yeah.
Like, is your company limited in any ways? Like, tell me about, like, how was the startup for your company? How did you get where you at right now?
So started just a remodeling company, and I kind of realized that work was kind of trending one way, and I was just strict remodel stuff. I wanted to be much bigger than that. So so I ended up changing things up a little bit. Went to actually a construction and concrete company, Eagle Construction and Concrete. Started that one, and I have so much knowledge in the roofing field. I was actually in college for sign language interpreting back in '08, and I don't know if you might know him. There was a guy that he was actually in London with us, Terrence King. He had a brother named Lance. They're from Columbus, and so he was out at the camp with me. And or no, he was up in Oak with me. I was up in there in the Renaissance program. Okay, but
I remember that program.
So met him in there. Well, he ends up hitting me up after I was in college already for sign language interpreting. This is back September 14th, 2008. Hurricane Ike hit Cincinnati, blew this place apart. Columbus too. Terrence reaches out to me and says, "Hey man, I got an opportunity for you to make a ton of money selling roofs." Cool. I'll leave school, go do that. Hey, it sounds great. I don't even like what I'm doing right here. This is boring. Like be out here getting my hands dirty and stuff. So went out, started selling roofs for him. Some things transpired, didn't work out. And then I came back because I was actually living in Columbus. I was coming home every weekend. Moved back down here, started working for some guys I went to high school with. And from there, one of their younger brothers I was working with, he branched out to start his own company. I went with him. And it was just him and I starting out. And it was pretty successful out of the gate, So I was really knowledgeable in the field of roofing. That's really where my, kind of my love is there. So I didn't want to be limited to just construction, concrete kind of thing. So that's why I was like, I need to have a roofing and siding business too. And it's nice because it kind of, we cover pretty much everything. What do you guys do? Everything pretty much,
Exactly.
So there's, not much that we can't handle, not much that we have to turn down, which is nice, because we kind of become like a one-stop shop to people. Instead of you having to call me and 3 or 4 other contractors out to deal with something, we can do it all.
Right.
So it's been nice, man. It's, we've built a pretty nice clientele and got some pretty big things going on. We're getting ready to go into contract for our first home build.
That's what's up.
So yeah, man, it's cool. It's definitely a big change, but it's exciting. It's stressful as hell, man. And I can't even think straight sometimes, but it's what we take on doing this stuff,
So what you think about the field when it comes to like I don't know, man. I don't really know no other way to put it, so I'm gonna just put it. I've been doing it about 8 years now, and I remember a couple years ago, I came across. It's like right now. It seems like Hispanics. It seems like they taking over.
Yeah.
Like I'm talking about. When I go to Home Depot, or sometimes when I just pull over and look at a job that's being done, and just like sometimes like they build an apartment complex or something. I'll pull over and just look and just let me look. And then I'm seeing like Hispanics. I'm like, damn, like one day I was at a job, literally, man, I'm talking about I didn't see a whole entire apartment complex being built. And from the framers, every person that I seen on the job was all Hispanics. I didn't see a white or a black person on the job.
Yeah.
So, I mean, are you seeing the same thing I'm seeing? It's
absolutely. I mean, it's been going on for some time now, but so it's actually, this is a conversation I have with a lot of people a lot of times, because we're at a time right now where people feel the way they do. They got all this, deportation stuff going on, which, I'm at a point right now where I'm like, nothing's going that I do is going to stop that. Just don't come to my job messing with my guys. You know what I mean? So I've come to kind of learn over time, man. I've had every walk of earth working for me, man. I mean, just white, black, Hispanic, every type of Hispanic. There's not just Mexican, Guatemalan guys, all kinds of guys. What it's all kind of boiled down to with me is the things that I've gone through with people that are not Hispanic working for me is, I mean, you're dealing with drug use on jobs. You're dealing with people just actively drinking on the job, and they want to be out there with their shirts off and music playing all loud, smoking cigarettes on the property, flicking things, and it's just one of those things you just don't see with them, and it's unfortunate it's that way, I mean, not for them, it's unfortunate, that for the other side, but them are some of the hardest working, most respectful. Just get in, get the job done, go home. They're not trying to bother anybody, and then I get a lot of people trying to pin me down on like, because they think, oh, you're hiring Hispanic people, you're not paying them. Man, I got Hispanic guys makes more than anybody working for them, and just I respect guys, and it's all just about that, man. You build respect with them, and it goes both ways, and they're good people, man, and they want to work hard, and who am I to stop that? You just come out, turn out a good product for me, and I'm gonna make something shake for you.
I feel that, man. Do you think I don't know, man. Like when I was young, you would go in stores and you would see black on, white on. Now it's like when you go in like a lot of the gas stations and different things, it's like it always be like foreigners on and things like that. Do you think things will ever go back to the way they were? Like I tell parents sometimes, maybe your kid not made to go to college. But we don't got enough electricians out here. We don't got enough carpenters.
Right.
We don't got enough plumbers.
Right.
Like there are trades where you can have a good life off of them. You know what I mean? So your kid might be interested in something like that. You gotta sometimes, like I heard parents say, they'll put a football and a basketball in front of their kid. Whichever one they grab, that's the one they're gonna push them toward. Now you might have your kid at an age where teach them something about electricity, about plumbing,
right.
HVAC. It might be something that they love to do. They might become an architect. It's a lot of things that you can do to make a nice living off of. But I don't feel like people are, directing their kids into like trade school and things like that.
I think it's a vanity thing with a lot of people. They want that kid to go to college and, have a degree on the shelf. And, be doing all that because it looks good.
Okay.
I remember just being younger and, just the people that I knew that were like blue collar workers. It was almost like people looked down on them. Like they just, like, oh, my dad's a doctor, they kind of, look down. But I've kind of learned now over the time, man, a lot of them people making a lot more money than a lot of them, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And, they're very respected business owners. And they've definitely figured out a very different way of life than, your standard going to college and getting a piece of paper kind of thing, man. And I support trade school 100%. Like I said, I went to welding school. I told you that earlier. So just another thing for me to know. I learned initially how to weld when I was incarcerated.
I know a little something about making a raw quarters, man.
There you go, like you little bitty, but it's so yeah, I think that he probably he don't remember, but I take him out to jobs. He's probably 2 or 3 years old. Get him out there with a little drill. He just wants to put screws in the wood.
For sure. That's
and it doesn't seem like much, but
yeah.
It's just the fact just getting them used to stuff like that.
Absolutely.
Getting them familiar with, doing that kind of thing and hearing tools and having them. So it's cool. It gives them a different option, man. Like I said, that, you know, we're in a time now, man, that, you know, college ain't always the way to go. And we know that it buries people in debt and does all that, man. It's just, there's definitely another way to go if that's what people see fit. And, you know, I think I don't want to ever push something on my kid. I want you to do this. I want you to do this. No, you do what you want to do. And,
For sure.
You know, I'm gonna make sure that, you know, I grow that in you, you know. I want to work with a hammer. I want to do this or that, or I want to be an artist or whatever. Or,
right.
You know, he wants to be Bruce Lee, you know, so it's something that, you know, we got we got to feed that, you know, because you know that's what they enjoy, and who am I here who am I to sit here and tell you no? Because what if somebody did that to me? I dealt with enough no's, you know. Remember, so many doors get shut in my face and shut in my face. So what is my mindset? I'm gonna come back and buy that building is what I'm gonna do.
For sure, I like that. I like that mentality.
Yeah.
I like that.
It's yeah, man. I'm a very big believer. Get out there, get your hands dirty, get your kids familiar with that type of stuff. Maybe they want to do it, maybe they don't, but don't limit them to just feeling like you got to go to school where you're a failure. You know what I mean? Because it ain't that anymore, man. I think we've you know, been in business long enough. We see it's fruitful when, you know, when things are good, and you know, it's not. We're not in a time anymore when people are looking down on blue collar workers. You know, they're the ones out there making things happen. You know, so. It's cool. And it's a fun field.
Share your socials with the people, man. Anybody in Cincinnati might want to hit you up. You know, it might need some work done.
Yeah. So Facebook, Matthew Tallon. It's Matthew Tallon. My companies are Eagle Construction and Concrete, Eagle Roofing and Siding. Both of those are the actual. The website is EagleCincy, EagleCincy.com. The other one is EagleRoofingCincy.com. So yeah, I mean, reach out to us. We pretty much do whatever, you know, turn out a great product, very, very high end work, and you know, a lot of happy customers, man. So yeah, reach out.
Where you see yourself in 5 years?
You know, I don't want to sit here and say I'm gonna be retired in 5 years, because I don't want to be retired in 5 years. I like what I do. I have fun. Where I want to see myself in 5 years is, you know, with a 12-year-old with an 18-year-old kid, or, you know, 8-year-old kid that are making their own way. You know, I want to be happy with what I'm doing and situated with that. And you know, my focus has to be on them. You know what I mean? Everything's work driven right now, but I just want to get to that point where everything's kind of smooth sailing there. Work kind of takes care of itself. We can live good. We can be happy, and just you know, make my way for them, and hopefully that they make decisions based off of mine that I didn't make when I was young. You know what I mean? To get myself right.
Man, I ain't gonna lie, man. When it comes to, like, when we talk about parenting, and every time I sit down with somebody, I get a new perspective of how they may have viewed their upbringing.
Yeah.
And, you know, who am I? I learned from sitting down talking to people. Some things that you said earlier that resonated with me, because sometimes I still can find myself blaming my parents about how my life ended up turning out.
Yeah.
Which I made them bad decisions. I made them bad choices, and I gotta really hold my feet to the limb and understand that I did that. But then when you said stuff about, like, teaching our kids how to do certain things, like when it comes to, you know, whether it's read a tape measure or, you know, power tools, my father never taught me anything like that. You know what I mean? I remember my wife said one time, like, she's like, you ain't never told the boys how to change a spare tire. I'm like, son, I don't know how to change a spare. I didn't at the time. I said, but I told them they better have AAA in case their car breaks down.
Buy you AAA.
You feel me? But so I think about some of the things that men, they might lack teaching their sons. It's like certain things you can, man, when I see a father in Home Depot with a 4 or 5-year-old, and I love it. I'm like, I love it, because I wish my father would have did that to me. You know what I'm saying? It's like, we got to give our kids, we can give them more than an opportunity if we are the type of people that's there leading the way. And when I hear guys that learn how to do stuff, like you said something about your stepfather, talk to something about the concrete and stuff like that. If somebody would have taught me something about concrete, maybe I would be a cold concrete finisher right now. But I was taught how to, let me show you how to get this money out here. Let me show you how to hustle. You know what I mean? So I feel like great parents, I'm going to say good parents like us, because we went through a lot. And I'm going to say a great parent wouldn't have put themselves in certain situations. But now we are great parents to our children. You know what I mean? So I appreciate you coming, you know, on here, giving us your story. you actually the first. You actually for everybody else we know had on here. You're the first white person we had on here, right? Okay. Yeah, first Caucasian we had on here.
I told somebody that.
I appreciate you coming on here because some people would be like, nah, that ain't for me. Nah, it's like, man, you never know whose story gonna touch who.
Right.
You know what I mean? And I want all walks of life to understand one bad choice or one decision can change your life forever.
Yeah.
And then when I got somebody that's able to show a rebound that they made, and then it's a bunch of people out here who use them excuses.
Right.
I love that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So let me ask you this, man. What you think about the Princeton Moeller rivalry? I gotta ask you about the
Here
Princeton
we
Moeller
go,
rivalry.
Man. y'all don't want that smoke, man.
hey, Mo tough, man. I got a kid. He a freshman. He's a freshman last year, and he was getting some playtime on varsity. He actually scheduled to come another week or two. He gonna come and sit down with me. But I never knew you went to Moeller, man. Yeah. I never knew that.
It was fun, man. So back when, like, freshman, sophomore, junior year, that's when we had some pretty hard hitting football team then. They were going to state, or at least, in the running for state every year.
Yeah.
It was fun, so that was a cool experience, man. Just being such a, I was a little guy in high school, man.
Oh, for real?
I walk in as a freshman in high school, Anthony Munoz's son's a grade ahead of me,
Okay.
I mean, I'm like, oh my God, man! I just came out of a little Catholic school, man. What's going on here,
Got you.
But it was cool, man, and I haven't really kept up with Moeller football, as I've wanted to over the years. But man, I know they're still out there, banging heads, man.
Yeah, they tough.
And I know that that Moeller Princeton thing is,
man, that's
forever be.
It used to be a real rivalry, but Moeller been whipping us for so long, man. It ain't even a rivalry.
Yeah,
No more,
it always turns around though, man. I know, like you, an Ohio State guy. I'm a Michigan guy. You know what I mean? So we went through a lot of times that too, man. I'm like, this ain't even fun to watch anymore. But then things kind of came. Then you started getting some different kids and situations that can play, and it'll happen, man. It's just it'll turn, bro. It just takes some time, man. But y'all ain't never gonna be on the Moeller's level, bro.
I think Moeller was paying players back before the NIL, man.
Yeah, in a very roundabout way too, man. Yep. I think that's a fair statement for real.
What would your advice be to fathers out here? Because I think in what do you feel like just community need, like children need nowadays?
They need I think, like, especially with mine, man, just getting out, being hands-on with your kids, being involved with what they're doing every day, knowing where your kids are at, what they're doing, who they're around, what kind of activities they're in. I mean, just being aware of that kind of situation and being conscious of that, I think, is a very can direct things in a very big way, So it's just all about being, parents being active, man. I mean, I know, I lost a lot of that time with my kids, and I hate that happened.
Right.
But I think just get out there, be hands-on with your children. Don't try to hold them to a fire. If you want your kid to go be an athlete, that is not what they want to do, man. Don't push that on them, man. You're gonna push them into doing something completely different in life, because then they feel like they're not making you happy. What's that gonna do to them? So yeah, just get out there, man. And it's just we're in a hard time right now, man. And the world's so divided with things, and it's hard. And we see crazy things going on with all these parents and wild stuff going on with kids, and it's sad, man. And we're living a very different time now. Things that you just didn't see back then going on when you were younger. So get these kids out here, man. Get them active. Don't let them sit down in the basement on video games. Don't all day long and stuff, man. But get out there, get busy. I think just build a little bit of work ethic in them as a kid. I see all these parents on, they was on Facebook talking about it's too cold for a kid to be walking to school in the snow and this and that. I'm like, man, what? Man, listen, I did that every day as a kid, walking to and from, man. We never got off school for it being cold out, man. Quit raising these kids to be so soft, man. That's what y'all are doing, man.
Yeah.
But just get out there, man. Get your kids into something. You know what I mean? Keep them active, and I think see a lot better results than when you just kind of let them drift off into a whole different life.
Gotcha. What's something you would tell your younger self?
Man.
Let's say I'm gonna put it at about 18. What would you tell your 18-year-old self right now?
Get ready, man.
Get ready.
Yeah. There was this. Right now, looking back, I mean, it's just it's you really can't prepare for what's to come in life. I think that it's one of them things, man. It's hard, just you look back and you look at the decisions you made, and obviously you want to tell yourself, don't do that. But on the other side of things, everything to where I am sitting here in front of you today, every little piece of that played a role in me being here today, doing fine for myself. So it's
you had to go through what you had to go through.
It's easy to want to sit here and say, I would tell myself, make better decisions, do something different. Obviously, what I want to do that, of course. But at the end of the day, I know I'm sitting here in front of you today. I know what I went through. I know everything that it took for me to be here, So, what I would tell myself really is, just be respectful to people. You know what I mean? No matter what's going on out here, no matter what you get yourself into, man, just respect, because that's really what makes the world turn. Without that mutual respect between people, you really got nothing, because then nobody falls back on any kind of care for anybody else. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's something I think, just try to grow to as, and I'm still learning, just the respect and, having that empathy and caring for people, then it's easy to say, well, I've been through what I've been through. I don't care what they got going on, but, just as you get older and become a man, you can't look at life like that no more. You got to care about what's going on around you, because that's your community, that's your children, that's the other people's children and the ones that are around yours, so you got to be conscious of that and, be a good person. That's it.
Before this next question, right, I'm going to say a quick prayer, okay, because I want nothing but truth. I want truth. We only get to live one lifetime, so we ain't going to have a second lifetime, a third lifetime. I don't think none of that. So in your honest opinion, will the Bengals win a Super Bowl? Do we got a Super Bowl coming in our lifetime, man? Do we got a Super Bowl coming in our lifetime?
You know what, bro? Man, listen. I was there for the whole thing, man. I went to Tennessee and watched the division win. I went to Kansas City and watched that, win that to go to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
It was, it was some of the happiest days of my life, man, depending on them. And then here we are, and now they're just ruining my damn life again, man. Will they ever win a Super Bowl? Man, I would love to say yes. History tells me a whole different thing, though, man. We just don't have the ownership in place, I think, to get us where we need to be. We just can't get over that little hurdle, man. So I hope so. Do I really think we will? Yet to be seen, but hopefully we got a long enough life left to live. We will see if we get one in. I'm just not banking on it.
Cincinnati Bengals, make sure y'all stay down till y'all come up, man.
Get together.
Hey,
man.
I appreciate you coming, sitting on the couch, man.
Absolutely.
Having some laughs with me, man. Giving some real game up. Make sure y'all like, share, subscribe. Y'all seen the socials. For Matthew Tallon, anything you want to leave the people with?
Everybody, much love out there. Take care of yourselves. Appreciate you having me here today, man. It was an honor you reaching out to me, and it was a good feeling, man. I'm glad I got to come be a part of this today.
Y'all know the motto: stay down till you come up. Peace. Appreciate you, brother.
Yes, sir.